Dave Scott Hub Media, talking with Craig from Causyn Cooling and Heating on the Queensway in Simcoe. It's been a long time since you and I have chatted. It's good to catch up. I see you've been helping out Port Dover right there with fundraising. Can you give me some details?
Absolutely. Always great to be here. Thank you again for having me, Dave. It's always a pleasure. Yes, we have partnered with Live Like Luke, the great organization and program coming out of Port Dover. I'm sure a lot of people already know, so I'll keep the details short. But it's to build a hospice. Norfolk and Haldeman don't have one, so there is land that's been donated in Jarvis, and we're supporting that. $50 from every install from the month of July is going towards going to be donated, and just a straight check to 100% of the proceeds to help this program, this great organization for our county.
And I believe Dan's biking across Canada, right? Is that
correct? Yes, yeah. He's going from BC out to all the way to Port Dover. So not the entire way, but really far. So yeah, he's biking.
Yes, 2/3 of the country.
2/3 of the country, and yeah, he's hauling up there, and very impressive. I mean, to be able to do that in support of sadly losing his boy. And, as a community, I think it's great that everybody's come together to support this. And, one thing that I think is good for everybody to know is that anybody can be supportive of this. And that's something that Dan has really been advocate about. He doesn't ask for a lot of money from people. What he asks from people is $50. And what he equates that to is $50 donation equals your brick in the building. So every $50 is another brick to establish it. So, any donations are welcome of all sizes, whether it's, $2 or whether it's, $20,000 or anything in between. And they're very thankful and supportive of, but, anybody can get out there, anybody can support this great organization to help, Dan and sadly what his family had to go through, which is going to make sure that none of us ever have to go through what they went through.
And I believe it's a Live Like Luke website, I do believe. I'm not sure. I think it's CA. I'm not positive on that, though.
Correct. Yes,
so we'll try and find that out. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and we have a visitor.
So, sorry.
No, it's no problem. It's just Deb. Everybody wait. I think it was Deb. Anyway, I want to talk to, because I think what you guys do at Causyn is you get involved in these projects because they're important to you and your staff. And I think that's really, I want to say kudos for that, because it's what Dan's undertaking is huge. And for small businesses in Haldeman, Norfolk to get involved and help out is critical. Like that's, this hospice, like you said, it needs to get built. I know we've did some videos for them in the past too. They're a great group. And it's wonderful to see it's chugging along, getting to that point where it could be built soon.
Absolutely. And they've the first shovel's been put in the ground, which is incredible. And it's something that, we were really excited to get behind since I took over at Causyn here. We do our rack every year, as you know, our random act of kindness. And when this came up this year, I mean, it hit home for many different reasons, not only for me personally, but for, my staff as well, too. And we all decided that this is the organization we want to get behind. This is something that we want to do for our rack this year. And with the support and the help of, other community businesses, not just ours, and other people as well, too, like individually coming out, it's really turning into something big, which is amazing to see it snowball. Yeah. It's so cool. And to get behind it. And every time I turn around and talk to Dan, there's, something else that's coming to light that maybe you didn't really realize it was needed, but how important that is too. Just, it just builds and builds and builds. So it's really good, really good.
Great opportunity for everybody to get involved. I do appreciate that. A couple quick air conditioning questions. You got time?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, here we are, July, August, the weather's been crazy. It's all over the board. And the one thing I've noticed is trying to regulate, because one night it's super cold and the next day it's 34 Celsius and the humidity is 42. And what, do you just set it? Like, let's be honest. Did you have to, I messed with mine. I know you're going to give me heck for that.
Nope.
But what do you do?
So great question. Thanks for bringing this up, because we have gone through a real shift in the HVAC world. So back in the day when we were growing up, you'd set it and forget it because there was no such real thing as efficiency. And then about 15 years ago, efficiency was the big word, and it was, set it back at night, set it forward during the day, and change that. Now we've gone back to the old way, because we've learned scientifically that the equipment is actually more effective and more efficient to just set it and forget it. So yes,
Okay.
the best thing to do this time of year is set it and forget it and leave it. A couple of quick things. Check your furnace filters. A lot of people say, well, why am I checking my filter, my air conditioner?
Yeah.
If a furnace filter gets clogged, it doesn't allow enough airflow, which then will in turn get the coil to freeze over, and it stops the air conditioning to work. We are still getting approximately 2 to 3 calls a week where people are very frustrated, their air conditioner's not working, we show up, and it's simply a dirty filter. That's all that it is. So check your filters. And then lastly, believe it or not, all air conditioners that are made in North America, all of them, doesn't matter the make, model, brand, doesn't matter who it is, to meet regulations for manufacturing, they only have to drop the home 10 degrees below the outdoor ambient temperature to make that equipment successful,
Okay.
according to the government. So if it's 41 and it's 31 in your house, it's
That's
done its
okay.
job. Now, we can get our houses much more comfortable and we can get them there. But again, set it and forget it. Once it gets too far heated, it's going to take 3 times as long to cool itself down. It's not
Yep.
like a furnace where we kick on and we give you that blast. Air conditioning takes time because not only do we need to cool the air, but we need to dehumidify the air. So, long story short, check your furnace filters, make sure they're clear, set your air conditioner at the temperature you want, and leave it. Set it and forget it, folks.
It's funny, because like exactly what you said, because you would always read different things, and you just don't know which way to go on.
Yeah.
What to believe. What is okay? Do I
Yeah.
set it? Do I? Do you have a lot of folks? Like, I know this is July and August, like we talked about. What's the biggest thing? I mean, you mentioned the filters, but my last question is, what's the secondary? Because when you said the coil freezes, is that coil got to be replaced then, or is it cool down
Nope.
again? Does it?
Yeah, no, again, another great question. What has got to be done is you have to turn the whole system off and wait until it thaws out. So now now it's just a way to get, you're like, oh, I want the cold air and it's sitting right there, but the coil is frozen over completely. Air conditioning systems rely on that constant airflow from the furnace. Otherwise, they will completely freeze over. And that's what they're designed to do. It's matching the airflow with the cold that keeps it from freezing over, which helps to dehumidify, which gives us the cold air. So if it does freeze over, there's nothing anybody can do but just simply wait until it thaws out and then turn it back on and let it go and make sure that filter's clear. Make sure your filter's the right size. Just last week alone, we showed up to 2 houses because the AC was making a funny noise and it was the wrong size filters were put in, and the furnace sucked it right in the blower.
Oh,
So,
there
yeah,
you go.
quick fix, but customer wasn't happy when they have to pay a diagnostic for, putting in the wrong size filter. But I understand we had to send a technician out. So I get, both sides of the coin here. But those are simple things that could have been avoided. So make sure they're the right size, make sure your filters are clean, folks, and just set it and forget it. Let it do its thing and keep your house nice and comfortable. Make sure you keep your windows and doors closed. Because the moment that humidity comes in, it's going to, in the wintertime, if you open the door and let the cold air in, that furnace will get it warm within X amount of time. If you do that with air conditioning, it takes minimum 3 times the same amount of time before you're going to see the effects. Low and slow.
Hey, one thing we never talked about was like with air conditioning too, like with all this stuff going on in the world. When last we left, we were talking about the prices of furnaces going up. I remember just the tariffs and all this, it was chaos. Did the same thing happen with air conditioners? Is there a set price right now, or are things all over the board again?
Another great question, Dave. All over the map. Everybody right now, it's very, very difficult. Myself, my good competitors, we're doing everything we can to stay competitive and offer consistent product. But right now it's getting very difficult. Some manufacturers are only bringing in so much equipment at a time because they have to pay the tariffs, and then they wait until the product is depleted before they restock. Some manufacturers have actually gone to moving production out of the US, or now flying it in from Mexico to Canada to get around the tariffs, which again helps on pricing, but there is now more of a delay in product recirculating and coming back through inventory volumes. And then it's all the materials to put it together now, the coppered insulated lines to join everything. It's, so there is a lot of factors that are affecting. We are seeing drastic increases across the board on absolutely everything. Everything in our industry is steel, aluminum, and copper.
Yep.
So yeah. I encourage everybody, if you are not in need of a furnace or an air conditioner, call us, get a quote, so that when you are in need, you have an idea and you're prepared. Because there's a lot of changes. Not to mention, when equipment is replaced today, everything you have in your home is fine and safe, but all amenities coming to that equipment must be brought up to whatever the latest code and standard is. So me coming and pulling out your furnace and putting a new one in isn't the same as it used to be, because now I have to change the gas line, I have to change the venting, I have to bond the gas cable, I have to make sure that it's two piped, I have to make sure the venting is clear all the way in approved vent pipe. We can't join to ABS anymore. There's multiple
Oh,
factors that come in, and that's where we can adjust it as well too, because now instead of just coming in and replacing a furnace for $4,800, there's also an additional $300 in venting that has to be added, because that's what code says. And keep in mind, folks, that yes, there is things that you can do in your own home, and there is things that contractors will do, not reputable ones. But what does that mean for you? It means your home insurance is now void should you ever have a claim and it's found that this has not been done properly.
yeah,
That's the
that's
scary part of the castle law in Canada, folks. I would hate for anybody to say, oh, I went with so and so, he's a little cheaper and he's going to leave this. And then 8 years later, you have a claim and you find out that you're not covered because it
doesn't work.
wasn't done properly. It wasn't done to code.
So basically, if you're thinking about a new furnace, you better start right now for the fall.
Exactly, and that's why I say I'm seeing more and more phone calls, and we welcome them, of people just calling saying, "Hey, I just want to know. I'm curious. What am I looking at approximately? What is it going to take? Maybe I should have you out." I mean, we don't charge anything. It's no cost, no obligation to have a quote done, and then at least people know what needs to be done to do it right, and what they're going to be looking at when the time comes. The average life expectancy of HVAC equipment today is 15 to 17 years. It's not 30 years like we
No,
were when we were
I was just
younger.
going to say, I didn't realize it wasn't. Wow.
Yeah, well, the complexity of this equipment. As of December 12, 2019, Natural Resources Canada mandated that every furnace in Canada must be minimum 95% efficient, which is incredibly efficient. The highest in the whole industry is 98. Cheapest model me or anybody can offer you to the most expensive model, there's only 3% difference now. And it's fascinating and fantastic at what this equipment can do today. It's also a lot more things that potentially could go wrong down the road, which sadly shortens the life expectancy. But this is not even an option of manufacturers. This is what our government has set in
And
place.
and just the pricing point too is probably so dramatically changed in the last,
Absolutely.
well, we
Yeah.
don't, in the last year, right? Things have just
Right.
gone
And
chaotic.
then
So you don't know.
yeah, and then we have the world's political stuff going on that's
Yeah.
increasing those prices. And it's so just, education is so key today. Educate yourselves, folks, talk to people, know what's going on. There's also a change in refrigerant that's happening, and it's all good stuff, but it's not something that anybody wants to welcome as a surprise, I'll tell you that.
And everybody's probably looking, because of this situation, for band-aid solutions which aren't going to last, aren't they? And you're
No,
trying to
not
help
anymore.
them. Like you're like, okay, if we
Exactly.
do this, but by the
Yep.
time we do this next year, you're going to need this, right?
100%. And then that nobody can make that decision but the consumer. Is it worth the value for them to do that? We're still seeing a lot of Freon equipment, or R22, if you will, out there. That was banned 4 years ago. They had to legally stop making that refrigerant. So if another contractor says, "Oh, I have some," I'll bet you Buffalo nickel that he does have some, but it's an impure blend because he's pulled it out of an old system. So
I
it
got
doesn't.
you.
It's not. So what he's pumping back in there, it'll get you by, but for how long? It's not a fix. It's a band-aid, because we know it hasn't been made in over 4 years. So even if he does have a brand new jug, it's been sitting for 4 years.
Yeah.
Tell me what happens to a jug of propane or anything else like that we use when it sits for 4 years. You get a separation in it. It's not going to be the same.
You always fill me with joy, Craig. Let me tell you. But you always educate me to the point where I understand things much clearer than when I went in, and I do appreciate that. And I do want to give that one more plug. Live Like Luke. Make sure folks get out there and support this cause that Dan's riding for. Thanks for
It's
doing
Yeah.
this today.
Thanks again for having me. And yeah, support Live Like Luke, folks. Take a look at it. like I said, any donation helps, and it's for us right here in the community, and for the people around us and ourselves that may need this one day. So wish Dan all the best, and Dave, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me again.
Take care.
Bye.